Welcome. Today, we're diving into how to establish retest periods for active pharmaceutical ingredients, or APIs. This topic is crucial for ensuring drug quality and safety over time. I'm Dr. S.K. Singh, and together, we'll explore the key principles and practical steps behind setting these important timelines. Let's get started. Let's start by understanding what a retest period really means. It's the time during which an API, that's an active pharmaceutical ingredient, should stay within its approved specs when stored properly. During this time, it can be tested again to confirm it's still good to use. The goal here is to make sure the API keeps its identity, strength, purity, quality, and stability throughout storage and distribution. Importantly, a retest period isn't the same as an expiry date. It actually allows continued use if the API passes retesting. When we talk about global regulatory requirements, we're looking at a complex landscape shaped by key authorities around the world. These include the International Council for Harmonization, the US FDA, the European Medicines Agency, the World Health Organization, and others like the Pharmaceutical Inspection Cooperation Scheme and India's Central Drugs Standard Control Organization. Alongside these bodies, there are specific guidelines we follow, from ICH's GMP standards for APIs to stability testing protocols, whose stability guidelines and regional rules like the EU GMP Part II and India's Schedule M together. They form the framework that keeps medicines safe and effective worldwide. Let's break down a key concept in good manufacturing practice: the difference between retest periods and expiry dates. The retest period helps us manage the life cycle of raw materials like APIs, intermediates, and excipients. It tells us when to test the material again to confirm quality. The expiry date, on the other hand, applies to finished products. It marks the end of their approved use. Retest periods can be extended if data supports it, but expiry dates need regulatory approval. And importantly, products can still be used after retest, but never after expiry. When deciding how often to retest a product, we look at several scientific factors. Packaging plays a big role. How well it protects against moisture, oxygen, and light can make all the difference. Storage conditions matter too, including temperature, humidity, and how the product is transported. Then there's the active ingredient itself, its chemical stability, how it absorbs moisture, and its vulnerability to oxidation or hydrolysis. Finally, manufacturing factors like process consistency, impurities, and leftover solvents also influence the retest schedule. All these elements work together to guide us. Let's talk about stability studies and how they support retest periods. These studies follow specific designs set by the ICH guidelines. For long-term studies in hot, humid climates, we look at 30 degrees Celsius plus or minus 2, with 75% relative humidity. Accelerated studies push the conditions further: 40 degrees Celsius, same humidity. Intermediate studies fall in between, with slightly lower humidity. The goal here is clear: to prove the active pharmaceutical ingredient stays within approved specs throughout its shelf life. When we talk about critical stability parameters, we're looking at several key areas. First, chemical attributes, things like assay, related substances, and degradation products. Then, physical attributes, appearance, particle size distribution, polymorphic form, and water content. We also consider residual components, including solvents, catalysts, and process impurities. The bottom line is this: all these critical quality attributes have to stay within strict specifications to meet regulatory requirements. Stability isn't optional, it's essential. Let's take a look at this example stability dataset. It shows how the assay percentage changes over time, starting at 100%, then gradually decreasing. After 1 year, it's still almost 99.7%. 2 years in, it's 99.2%. Even after 4 years, it remains above 98%. This kind of data helps us evaluate how stable a product stays over time, giving us confidence in its long-term quality. When we evaluate stability data, we rely on a statistical approach outlined in ICH Q1. This involves tools like linear regression and trend analysis to understand how a product changes over time. Confidence intervals help us estimate uncertainty, while shelf-life projection models predict how long a product remains effective. The goal here is clear: to set a retest period based on real degradation trends, not just single data points. This method boosts our confidence in the product's long-term storage stability. When setting retest periods, the industry usually works within a range, from 2 years up to 5 years. The exact timing depends largely on how stable the active pharmaceutical ingredient is. To decide on the right retest period, there's a clear process. It starts with developing the API, then initiating a stability study, followed by collecting long-term data. Next, we evaluate trends and run statistical analyses. This leads to a retest period proposal, which is submitted to regulators for approval and labeling. It's a thorough journey, ensuring safety and reliability. When a product hits its retest date, there are clear expectations under Good Manufacturing Practice, or GMP. First, we need to sample the material following approved procedures. Then, lab testing takes place, alongside a thorough review of the storage history. Any deviations must be carefully evaluated. If the material passes, it can keep being used. If it fails, it must be rejected or further investigated. Throughout this process, every step has to be documented, fully traceable and compliant with GMP standards. In this part, we're diving into how digital transformation is reshaping stability programs. Artificial intelligence helps us predict trends and model degradation, giving us a clearer picture of what's ahead. Machine learning steps in to optimize retest intervals and predict risks more accurately. Digital twins allow us to run virtual stability simulations, saving time and resources. Predictive analytics catch early signs of instability before they become issues. And all of this aligns with regulatory trends, supporting data-driven lifecycle management under quality by design principles. When it comes to stability programs, there are some common pitfalls we see again and again. Not having enough stability data, relying on unsupported retest periods, skipping trend analysis, or failing to retest expired APIs, these all put the program at risk. On the documentation side, incomplete records, missing verification of storage conditions, and weak change control create serious gaps. These issues don't just stay on paper. They lead to regulatory consequences like GMP observations, warning letters, batch rejections, and even supplier disqualification. We need to address these head-on. When setting retest periods, we want to follow best practices that cover stability, quality systems, and regulatory benefits. For stability, that means using commercial-scale batches that truly represent the product, keeping a close eye on all critical quality attributes, applying solid statistical principles from ICH-Q1E, and continuously trending the stability data. On the quality side, electronic management systems, risk-based reviews, annual product quality reviews, and strict data integrity all play key roles. Together, these steps boost inspection readiness and give us better control throughout the product's lifecycle. Let's wrap up with the key takeaways and the foundation behind retest periods. Retest periods mainly apply to active pharmaceutical ingredients, backed by solid stability data. The guidelines from ICH, including Q7, Q1A, and Q1E, set the regulatory framework we follow. It's important to remember that retest periods are not the same as expiry dates. Using statistical methods helps us justify these periods scientifically. Retesting means we can keep using APIs safely, as long as they meet specifications. And now, with AI and digital tools, managing retest periods is becoming smarter and more precise. Ultimately, a well-justified retest period is essential for maintaining quality, compliance, and patient safety throughout the API's lifecycle. That brings us to the end. For any further support or questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for your time and attention. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you today. This video was created with SlideSpeak. Visit SlideSpeak to turn your presentations into engaging AI-narrated videos.